Now we're going to do Control 7 for bottom view. We're going to select a vertex here, B to box select, switch this to median point, then S to scale this down, and just move it over a bit. We want to know exactly where the center of this is, so we're going to do Control R, left click, right click, Control R, left click, right click. Select these two vertices and then do J to join. So now we know exactly where the center is. Then we're going to select this piece again, just select a vertex, B to box select. And you can use G to move it around, S to scale it up or down depending on what you want. And then just position it where you want it. Probably fairly close to here is going to be good. Once you're done with that, you're going to Alt right click here, do Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, S to scale this out. Then you're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, S to scale it out again. So we're going to keep this half, the top half, so you're going to keep all these vertices from here up to here, and we're going to delete the rest. So we're going to select these two, then hold Control, select these, continue holding Control and select these. So now we have all these. We're going to delete them by doing delete and choosing vertices. Now we're going to take all these pieces, we're just going to select a vertex, B to box select, get the rest. Switch this to the 3D cursor. We're going to do Shift D to duplicate, then S, Y, and -1 and press enter. Then do Control N to recalculate the normals. We're going to select these two vertices and these two, and then press F to make a face. Do the same over here. I'm going to reposition this a bit, so I'm going to select all these vertices, make sure you get all of them, and I'm going to actually just bring this in a bit closer to the center point. Then I'm going to do Shift D to duplicate, then S, X, and then -1 and press enter. And you may even want to pull that in a bit further, so I'm just going to delete these, and then I'm going to do this again. I'm going to bring this in a bit further, and then do Shift D, S, X, -1, and press enter. Now we're going to select one of these vertices, do Control L to select the rest, Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, bring it over towards the center, S to scale this down. If you want this perfectly in the center, and of course we do, we're going to do Control R, then left click, and you should have a vertex here. Then select one of these vertices, Control L, switch this to individual origins, grab it on the x-axis, hold Control, snap it there. So now it should be perfectly centered as far as these two are concerned. Switch this back to median point, S to scale this down. That's probably going to be fine. Then I'm going to select these vertices here, and I'm going to bring them up further to where I want them to be. And I'm going to delete these bottom vertices, and then we'll just mirror the top ones. So I'm going to delete these. I'm going to select this and do Control L. Switch this back to 3D cursor, Shift D to duplicate, S, Y, -1, and press enter. And then we're going to have to make faces again, so we're going to select these two and these two, press F. And then these two and these two, and press F. Then you can do Control L and Control N to recalculate the normals. If you want to, you can adjust this further by doing S and then Y, scaling it out a bit, having a little bit more roundness on both of these sides if that's what you're looking for. Then I'm going to select a vertex on both of these parts. We're going to do Control L so we have all these. P to separate and choose selection. We're going to tab into object mode, select this object. We don't actually want this to have the array modifier, so we're going to get rid of the modifier. And we're also going to get rid of the mirror modifier as well. Then we're going to hold Shift and select this object and tab into edit mode. Make sure you're in bottom view, so do Control 7 if you're not in bottom view. Switch to tools, and then you're going to do knife project. We want to get rid of this edge loop, so we're going to do Alt right click, then do delete and dissolve edges. We're going to switch to face select, and we're going to select these inner faces here. Then we're going to do I to do an inset and do a decent size inset here. And then we're just going to bring these down on the z-axis to give some depth to this. And then we're going to do I again and do another inset. This time it's going to be a bit smaller than the last one. So now we should have some nice looking indents here. So we can right click on this piece now, and if we want to we can just do delete and delete that. Or if you wanted to you can hide it instead, so just press H to hide it. Then we're going to select this piece, we're going to tab into edit mode, and now we want to select all these parts, so we're going to go to vertex select, and then do Z for wireframe, get a good angle of this so that it won't select anything else. And then we're just going to bring these down into position. So you want these bottom lips to be basically touching the outside there. So like that's going to be pretty good right there. And if you want to on these, you can recalculate the normals. So I'm going to deselect these two that look like they're okay. Then I'm going to do Control N to try to recalculate the normals. Looks like some of them got fixed, but not all of them. I'm going to select this vertex, do Control L, and then I'm going to flip the normals on this. I'm going to do the same down here, so I'm just going to hold Shift, select this, Control L, then Mesh, Normals, and Flip Normals. So that should look a bit nicer. And I'm going to do the same on these pieces. So I'm going to select E vertex on each one of these, then do Control L, Mesh, Normals, and Flip Normals. So all these should look pretty good. Looks like I need to fix this one too, so I'm just going to select that and flip the normals. So now everything's looking okay. The only other thing we want to do is make an actual hole in this other piece so that these parts can actually let the air through. So we're going to Alt right click, Alt and Shift right click, and get all these outer edge loops. We're going to do Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, change this to individual origins. We're going to do Control 7 for bottom view, S to scale this down very slightly. Then we're going to hold Shift and select a vertex here. Do Control L to get this piece, do Shift H to hide everything else. Now we want to select these circles, so we're going to Alt right click, Alt and Shift right click and get these circles. Then do P and choose selection, so now it's a different object. If you want to, you can go to object mode, select this object, H to hide it, select this object and get rid of the modifiers, so just get rid of both modifiers. You also might want to tab into edit mode, A to select everything and just bring it in this direction on the Z axis so it's a bit higher up. And then do Control 7 for bottom view, tab into object mode, then do Alt H to unhide everything. Z for wireframe, you're going to want to select this piece, and we're going to hold Shift and select this piece, then do Shift H to hide everything else. We're going to select our little circles, we're going to hold Shift and select this piece, tab into edit mode, and now we can see what we have. So we're going to do knife project, we're going to create that nice hole on each area, do delete and choose faces, so now we have a nice hole. So we can actually see through these pieces now. So if we go back to edit mode and do Alt H to unhide everything, A to deselect, you can see we still have kind of a problem here. So we're going to go to face select, select this face here, and the problem is because this isn't high enough, like you can actually see this part sticking through. So we're going to bring this out until it's not really interfering with our model. So you can do G and Z if you want and just adjust this until it's not really causing any problems. So now we have all these pieces looking nice. This looks good. The only thing left is to add in some little buttons here. So we're going to create some buttons. We're just going to go to create, and we're going to make sure we have this object selected. We're going to tab into edit mode, create tab, create a circle, change the vertex count to 8. You're going to want to be on median point and scale it down. I'm going to go to bottom view with Control 7. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm just going to position this where I want it, so something like that's going to be alright. Then we're going to bring it down. We're going to snap it on the Z axis to one of these points on the bottom. We're going to switch to vertex select. We're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it up slightly. Then we're going to do E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it up, and then use S to scale it down. E to extrude, right click to cancel, S to scale it down again, E to extrude, right click to cancel, bring it down some, scale it down some. So this will be our little button. Then you're going to select two of these vertices and press F a few times to fill that in. So there's our little button right there. You can scale it down a little smaller if you want by doing Control L, S to scale this down. Once you're happy with it, we're going to do Control R, left click, right click, Control R, left click, right click, select this again, Control L, Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, change this to individual origins, bring it over on the Y axis, hold Control, snap it there, and then we can just select both of these, Control L, Shift D to duplicate, right click to cancel, switch this to 3D cursor, then do S, Y, -1 and press enter, Control N to recalculate the normals, and it looks like we need to space these out a bit better. I'm just going to do Alt right click, Alt and Shift right click, delete, and choose dissolve edges. I'm going to select these, do Control L, switch this to median point, bring it over a bit more, and I'm actually going to get rid of this one, so just do Control L, delete vertices. Select this one, Control L back to 3D cursor, and I'm going to do Shift D, SY -1 to flip it over to the other side. Then do Control N to recalculate the normals. And this looks a bit better to me. I like this a bit better. So then I'm going to select this object in object mode, do delete, and choose OK, because we're done with that. We don't really need that circle anymore. Then we can select this object again, go to Tools, and turn on Smooth Shading, so now we can see what we have. Now all that's left is to go to Edit mode. We're going to Alt right click. It should have all 4 of these vertices right here. We're going to Alt and Shift right click, get this entire edge loop as well. Alt and Shift right click to get this edge loop. Then do Alt F to fill in this area. So now we have this area nicely filled in, and everything else looks good too. You may need to recalculate the normals on the bottom. If you need to, just go in, do Control N, whatever you have to do, and recalculate the normals. I had to do that the first time, but I didn't have to do it this time, it looks like, so everything's looking fine on mine. So we're just going to save this. We're going to go to File and Save. Thank you to our awesome Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter yourself, head on over to patreon.com/StephenBrooks. Thank you for your support.